This is quite an interesting book that really resonated with me during this period, particularly when I read the opening foreword, or Bookworm. People say that life is a thing, but I prefer reading. So that's a quotation that I started with. I still have all my childhood books. In fact, I've spent some of my happiest hours in recent months arranging them on the bespoke bookcases I had built under the sloping ceiling of my study for their ease and comfort. I may no longer imagine them, as I did 30 years ago, whispering companionably together at night when I've gone to bed, but I love them still. They made me who I am. I thought that was a really powerful opening paragraph. I still have most of my childhood books, except the ones that my daughters have taken away, but they have been replaced. And I have been looking at them and I have been rearranging them, and I think going back and reading things again, and they are true. They make me who I am. It's through books you can experience so many things. Pallid, says my sister, peering over my shoulder as I type this. Bespeckled, friendless, which is also true. And yet who needed flesh and blood friends when I had Jo March, Charlotte, Wilbur and everyone at Mallory Towers at my beck and call? Remember hiding a book on your lap to get yourself through breakfast? Remember getting hit on the head by footballs in the playground because a game had sprung up around you while you were off in Care Paravel? Remember taking yourself off to the furthest corner of the furthest sofa in the furthest room of the house with a stack of Enid Blytons and praying that everyone would forget all about you till bedtime? Come bedtime, do you remember waiting 4 nanoseconds after the door closed before whipping out your torch and carrying on where parental stricture had required you to leave off till tomorrow? Was your first crush on Dickon instead of Johnny Depp? Do you still get the urge to tap the back of a wardrobe if you find yourself alone in a strange room? Or keep half an ear out at midnight for the sound of Hattie in the garden? If so, this is the book for you. But then, most books are. You are, like me, a bookworm. Little more needs to be said apart from, I hope you enjoy this memoir of my childhood reading and that it brings back happy memories of your own. It's a look back at the books I've loved, needed, depended on as a child. I've tried to contextualise them, give them backgrounds. Why, for example, was The Family from One End Street considered shocking by some when it first appeared? Who was the first author to use a first-person narrative in a children's book? Potted biographies of their authors. Which hugely successful female children's writer whose name was not J.K. Rowling began writing only because she was desperate for money? What did E.B. White's colleagues at the hallowed New Yorker think of him producing all things a children's book about a spider and a pig? And a sense of where they come in the history of children's literature. But this is a personal account of the classics and not so classics that shaped my world and thoughts, and so necessarily incomplete. I read omnivorously, but not well, and certainly without a thought for posterity. I read because I loved it. I read because I loved it. I read wherever I could, whenever I could, for as long as I could. At birthday parties, not least my own, I would stealthily retreat as soon as the games began to the most hidden corner of whatever house I was in, gathering any available volumes on the way and reading furiously through them till a hateful adult found me and demanded my return. Or, if I was lucky, told me it was home time. In the summer holidays, I could read literally from dawn till dusk, unaware of anything until forcibly recalled to real life. Those were the days, my friends. Those were the days. Do we ever imagine again to commit ourselves as wholeheartedly and unself-consciously as we do to the books we read when young? I doubt it. I have great hopes for retirement, but for the moment, as an adult of working age and a mother of a 5-year-old, life is unfortunate too, much with me to allow such gorgeous, uninterrupted stretches of immersion in a book. But let us relive, for the next few chapters at least, a little of those glorious days when reading was a thing and life was only a minor inconvenience. I think there's lots in here, some about books I have read myself with the background, but also books where I'm thinking, perhaps I'll read that one now. So a little bit different in terms of a book, but there may be some recommendations in there that you'll like.